was 3. He always would just humor me and let me pick where we went every now and then. But when he was little bitty, I would give him money, and he was the gentleman, perfect gentleman. Open doors, pull out chairs. I wanted him to know how he should treat a woman when he got older, and how a woman should treat him. We went to the Dallas Theater Center to see a play, and I had no clue. I had asked for information before he got home as to things I should look for, because he was my only child, and he had be coming home to me for R&R. And we walked in, and kids were clapping and singing. It was a great, great event. But all of a sudden I noticed Cory, his head turning, his eyes were all over the place. His face turned red, and all of a sudden he couldn't breathe. And we were just, had just gotten in, and Cory turned tail and monkey crawled. On the floor, monkey crawling to find the door. And this gentleman was yelling, "Don't go out that door, you can't come back in that door. Don't go out that door," and he was gone. That was my first clue that something wasn't right. He hid it. He did really well when he came home from Iraq for a couple of months. And I got his paperwork from the military. And it said severe PTSD, needs assessment immediately. That never happened. So I started making calls and begging, beating the door, pleading, with no help. There was a first sergeant that came to Cory's unit. They don't want to hear from the mama. When you become a soldier, you're a man, and you're supposed to be able to handle it, whatever. But this was my baby. This first sergeant, Stefan Wells, was the first person that would listen. And in that 2 years, I didn't walk PTSD road. I ran it from here to yonder. Cory got it together, moved to Houston, was in school. Light wheel mechanic was his MOS. But when he got there, of course, he volunteered to be a gunner. And I said, "Cory, is there anything that you could do that was any more dangerous while you're there?" That's my son. He was going to volunteer. He was going to be there. He rallied those guys. When my son died, so many of his friends, had I known there'd be that many people turn out at his funeral, we would have moved it to a bigger place. There were so many of his friends that came and said, "Your son kept me from doing just this." He would rally the troops. He would keep everybody in stitches. He was quite hard. But the stigma of suicide has got to go away. All I wanted was somebody to hear me from the mother's perspective of what that soldier that fought for his country was going through. And no one wanted to hear it. He was a number in his unit. Well, after the fact, I have to tell you, I got a meeting with the colonel of Cory's unit. And all I wanted him to do was hear me. Just listen. Because my son is not the only one that's fighting for his life with PTSD. It is an open conversation now with full-bird colonel. They've made some changes. Every one of the staff, from sergeant up, have to take suicide prevention classes. which Fulbright Colonel did mention to me that they probably all were cussing at me for that. And I volunteered to go sit in every classroom to make sure another mother doesn't do this. He was my only son. And he left a little boy that he never got to see that was his dream. His name's Elijah Brown. And my son named him when we had the sonogram to know it was a boy. And in the darkest moments of my son's life, in the darkest moments, I know that baby had to flash through his mind. There is help today. It's getting easier to get the help without the stigma of needing help. But the Army had told him, if you need help, you're a weak soldier. And he told me that many, many times. Nobody wanted to hear that either. But you know what? You are not weak if you need help. And if you don't want to go somewhere else, paula.nichols12@gmail.com. Send me a text. I'll walk it with you. I know the road all too well. I am blown away by these people that I got a phone call saying they had written a song about my son. Unbelievable. But the legacy for my grandson to see that it wasn't just my son was sick, that he killed himself, that it was suicide. On his death certificate it says shot in the head. Really? With people like this that can explain. That was not his choice. He got caught in the middle of chasing a demon that chased him. I thank you all so much. I will never be able to thank you enough. And I am so grateful to be here and be a part of this. The veterans have a special place in my heart.